Good evening and welcome to episode 10 of season 9 of Factory Town, Pipe Mania, where we have a happiness problem. Our people are not as happy as they should be, and I was kind of expecting this, so we'll see. You see how I've been looking at some things, trying to do a few tweaks to see things, but I have connected up underground via the underground layer all of our food. All of our food is now connected and running. I am a little concerned, however, that we don't appear to be getting any bread. We're not getting any bread, which makes sense because I've messed up this. So let's do that and change this to be an input. There we go. I know I messed up one thing because our kitchen was not getting any flour, so that's wrong. But that is affecting our happiness, but that's not the main problem of it. The main problem is that we built this town, and this town is a commerce town. So if I go to here and mouse over this here, it says at the top, doubles the speed items are consumed by housing, allowing for more rapid coin earning. Now what that means is that our houses want almost double the amount of goods that you're delivering to them. And I say almost because I think this is correct here. So if we come into our, we'll click a double click on the house here. So this is what the house wants, this sort of things here. We'll take water for example, because we have water connected up. We know that one well should be able to deal with 14 houses, but it's not now. It doesn't half. It doesn't become 7.5 houses or 8 houses or whatever you want to round it around to. Because you'll see at the bottom there, under sellable, it's got yellow coins is 1 experience point, 1 happiness. Consumption time is 20 seconds. Happiness duration is 10 seconds. The happiness duration, I don't believe, changes. They still get the same amount of happiness from goods, but their consumption time halves. So, instead of this taking 30 seconds, so, you know, instead of it being the well produces water 1 every 2 seconds, the well produces 1 every 2 seconds here, and then it feeds out, and it could have supported 15 houses, I think it was, 1 every 2 seconds, 10, yeah, 15. We now lower that from 30 seconds, so in 30 seconds the well can produce 15 water, to 20 seconds, because the houses need it in 20 seconds, 10 for consumption, 10 for happiness, which means that our well can only support 10 houses. Which is okay, because apparently there are 10 on here. There are 10 on here, you know, doing their thing, and that's fine. But not all of them are getting water. You know, it's not all of them getting water. In fact, less of them are getting water than would be normally. You see here, these ones have got water. The ones over here are barely getting any. And that is because the happiness duration is only really taken into account when you are feeding goods via a tavern or a market or via a selling place, a market shop. When you feed the food into here, so if you flour into here, you see now, so the consumption time is 30 seconds, happiness is 45 seconds, that should be 1 minute 15 seconds. But the consumption time is half to 15 seconds. So that means that you need to give it 1 flour every minute. And the way these buildings work is they look around to every house connected to it, and they will give food to a house that doesn't have it first. Then it will give it to a house that doesn't have, that is wants consuming but doesn't have. So this house here doesn't have. This house here has cloth, and it is happy with cloth. So we see here clothing. It is happy with clothing. It's got a happiness bonus on the clothing of cloth here. So when the green bar, which you can barely see behind the green thing there, runs out, that means that it has consumed it, but it's now ticking on the happiness duration. If another place doesn't have happiness, but if another building doesn't have a happiness bonus, but they both have a consumption space, I should say there, the market will sell to a house with no happiness bonus. I'm explaining this really badly. I'm trying to get my head around the way to explain it here, but basically it will distribute to all the houses, and it will make sure every house is happy first. Then it will start distributing to houses that have the consumption space. So it always makes sure happiness is at the highest level. That's what I'm trying to say there. So if both these two houses here got a bonus, and then this one, the consumption ran out on it, but it still had the happiness bonus, it would give the cloth to the next person that doesn't have the happiness bonus. So you get a bonus happiness to everyone. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, I really badly explained that, but hopefully that makes a bit more sense. The happiness duration comes first, then the consumption comes second, when it comes to a market building selling. However, we're selling water via pipes, and pipes just feed to the first building they get to. So that means these two houses will be getting the first bits of water, the rest of them won't. So we need to sell water at the pace of consumption, not at the pace of consumption and happiness. So we need to give water to houses every 10 seconds because we're doubling the consumption time, or half the consumption time. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. That's not. It's not important, but I'm just trying to get over how the numbers work because there are two numbers there and they do matter. If you add the two together, that's the absolute bare minimum to keep everything going. If you want to get as much coins as you want to, you just want to aim for the consumption time. And there's no point in aiming for the happiness duration if it's lower than the consumption time because they can't consume it faster than the happiness runs out. So the minimum is the two added together and the fastest time is the consumption time, but if you're using commerce in your town centre, you have to half the consumption time. So we know that water is consuming at 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds a house wants it. So one well can deal with 5 houses because one well does it every 2 seconds, and in 10 seconds it can produce 5 water. So that's 5 houses. So for every 5 houses we need a well. Got there in the end. There we go. Now all your brains are like, what is he talking about? What is going on? What is he doing? Let's do this. Let's put in more wells like this. You can speed wells up by putting them next to water sources as well, and there is another way to get better water by pumping, but we're not going to go into that right now. We don't need to be fussed about any of that for the moment. So we'll do this. We'll do this. And we'll do this for these two here. I don't know why. I'd already experimented with this a little bit here to get the numbers right. And now we'll get the happiness bonus with water across the board. Apart from the last two houses, they should never be able to get water. Because this is producing 1 every 2 seconds, which means in 10 seconds it produces 5. So this one gets it, 2 seconds later this one, 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, and then this one will do it because it wants it again. So this one will never get any water. So we need to add a well every 5 houses. Which is fine. We can deal with that. We can deal with that easily. I'm just going to kind of leave it for the minute, and these ones aren't going to have any water whatsoever. Cloth is doing really well for us because cloth has a very high consumption time and happiness, so it's 45 seconds, which is now being halved to 22.5 seconds. I'm just going to call that 22 seconds. I'm going to round it down, which will benefit us anyway. So providing we're producing cloth every minute and 20 seconds, let's round it down to the nearest easier number. Minute and 20 seconds, we're fine, and I think we are producing cloth easily for that. Where are we producing cloth? Is it here? Yeah. Here we're producing cloth, and you are producing cloth at a rate of knots because you've got 5 workers and things and a worker bonus and blah blah blah. So yeah, you're doing well. You're doing well. You are full. You are full. Yeah. So that's fine. But yeah. So consumption and happiness. The durations are different. If you're not dealing with commerce, just add the two numbers together and aim for that production amount. If you are dealing with commerce, you have to half one and then add them together, and it's, oh, dearie me. And if you're feeding directly, it becomes even more complicated, so, well. But that feeding directly is only applicable for our wells. Everything else would be spread amongst nice and evenly. So as you get bread, you will look through the houses and be like, hey, which one of these doesn't have a happiness bonus for bread? On you go. But speaking of bread, we're not making enough bread. Very clear. There is a button down here. Supply in the bottom left corner. There's a supply button which brings up this wonderful menu here. This shows you your happiness, your consumption, and your happiness. And the consumption will probably be lower than the happiness. If you can get them both to 100%, you're winning. Yay! But if you want the happiness bonus to all your places, you want to get the blue bar to 100%. Now we hit 92% on water because there's always 2 houses and not going to get water. We have to accept that for the moment. We can change it later. Fine. But flour and bread, as you see, we've got 88% happiness bonus with bread and 88-ish happiness with flour as well. So we need a little bit more. A little bit more to get that. And fish, we need a lot more. And we can scroll down here. Planks, we are 96% happy. Cotton and cloth, we are 100% happy, so that's fine. Consumption drops, but providing consumption never drops down too low, the happiness will always stay high, so that's fine. You see books here, these are just falling apart like mad. So yeah, books are one of the most difficult things to keep in there. Personally, with experience from previous saves and other things that I've done, I'm not too fussed about keeping the book happiness high. It's nice, it's very nice here. It does only give you 1 happiness, so I mean, yeah, it's nice to have. But what's more important is actually just selling the books, so you gain the research knowledge. You gain the industrial research, the nature research, and the general research points, because you need them. And then later on, you need the other research points later. So that, as far as I'm concerned, is more important, getting the actual goods sold. So you don't have to worry about filling the happiness up with that. You can do later, obviously, if you want to go for 100% happiness, which we will do. We will want to go for more happiness, so we will look at doing that later. But right now, just making sure you are selling at least some is more important, because you just want the research points. Speaking of which, why are you so slow? You don't have any workers. Let's throw more workers in there. Speed that up. We can get a little bit more from it. Do, however, really want to get the bread up and running. So you're going to have to look at what you want to achieve when it comes to a happiness bonus. Do we want to go for 100% happiness? Do we want to say, right, with bread, we need to make sure we are getting, we're going to the supply here, go up to the top, and we'll go bread. Scroll down a bit. Here it is. Where is it? Where's bread? Where's bread? Bread's here. We want to go for 100% happiness. Okay. It's only 1 happiness bonus, but everyone adds up. But if you want to go for 100% happiness bonus, that means we need to come into basic food, have a look at bread. 45 gets dropped to 22.5. I'm going to round that down to 20. So the consumption time is 20 seconds. By rounding it down, that means we'll be producing more than we actually need, which is always good. So I'm going to say bread is 80 seconds, 1 minute 20. We need to produce 1 bread every 80 seconds. 60 for the happiness bonus and 20 for the consumption times. 45 halved is 22.5. Rounded down to nearest large number is 20. So yeah, 1 minute 20. We need to produce one bread every 1 minute 20 per house. We have 24 houses. We need to produce 24 bread every 1 minute and 20 seconds. This is where your brain kind of goes, because this is working at 1.4 a second and needs 4. So let's first and foremost, let's take this and let's try and get it to per minute. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. We'll do it per minute. And I'm going to do more of this off camera than on camera. So this time around, we're going to do it on camera. Well, I say on camera. I'm going to have a calculator open and I'm going to explain what I'm doing. So we know we need 1 every 1 minute 20. So we need 24 every 1 minute 20. 24 divided by 80, which is 80 seconds. We need to produce 1 bread every 0.3 of a second. Okay, 0.3 of a second. Times that by 60, we need to produce 18 bread a minute. Okay, 18 bread a minute. Let me bring up. No, let me put a signpost down. Boom. Here we go. 1 bread. 18 bread. 18 bread per minute. Boom. There we go. Okay. 18 bread per minute. There we go. So, if we need to produce 18 bread per minute, this needs to be operating at a much higher speed. Now, we could work it out without the happiness bonus, and the happiness bonus would just be a nice add-on to it. But later on, the happiness bonus becomes very important, so kind of figure like we should maybe add that in there, but let's just do it without. Let's just do it without, and ignoring the bonus as well to you get a bonus spread. Unless you can get the bonus spread to quite a high number, the 10% bonus chance isn't really going to help you. That's like 11 bread every 10 cycles, so we'll ignore that. And I mean, the 0.40 The reason I want to ignore the 0.40 is because if you build it with a happiness level in mind, and then obviously it starts running and starts producing more bread for your people, your happiness goes up, which means it then starts running even faster. So you could have down shrunk it, if that makes sense. So yeah, downsized it, not down shrunk it. It's a weird word, but downsized. But okay, so 18 bread a minute, and this produces 1 bread every 4 seconds. So if we need, how much does this produce a minute? So 60 divided by 4, it produces 15 bread a minute. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad, and that makes sense. That makes sense. 15 bread a minute. Oh, makes sense because if we look here, our bread is 83%, so we're doing pretty well. So if it's producing 15 bread a minute, we just need to make it a bit faster. A second one, we will produce 30 bread a minute. So that's what we need to do. We need 2. And that will give us 30 bread a minute, and we only need 18 at the moment. So that'll work. That'll be the easiest way to do it. Also, do bear in mind that that is based on the current 24 houses. And you can get way more than that. You can get way more than that. So well, actually, hold on, let's figure that. So how much can a single kitchen supply, provided it's got all the goods coming into it, and it's not struggling for wheat or flour or whatever that, how much can a single one supply? So if it was doing, it takes 4 seconds to produce one, that means it's 15 bread, and then our 24, well, and the house is 1 minute. How much can it produce in 1 minute 20? So 80 seconds divided by 4, it can produce 20. So one kitchen running with no happiness bonus, no bonuses to production, no nothing, just the base flat kitchen. So did I just turn something off then? No, I didn't. I just clicked on. Okay. So if we just come over here and put down, wait, it's running a bit flat. There, boom, there you go. Bread, boom, there you go. No bonuses, no happiness, no nothing added to it. It's just boom, 1 second, takes 4 seconds. You can support 20 houses. So for every 20 houses, we need a new kitchen. That's nice and easy. That's very nice and easy. And then you need to figure out, obviously, the supply and things like that to it as well, which it shouldn't be difficult because, obviously, you can work from that. So one kitchen for 20 houses. That's nice and simple. Do you know what? That's important enough for me to want to slap down another sign. Boom. Double click. One bread kitchen equals 20 houses. There we go. And I'm doing that so that I remember, because I'm going to forget these things. So one bread kitchen equals 20 houses. Okay, it's one bread kitchen per 20 houses, or I should say. So we currently need 2. Now this is not the good place to put this. This is not a great place to put things. The happiness bonus that we're getting, the 0.4, and the obviously the bonus of 1 extra bread every 10 made will help us. Will add to it. So we could probably get away with maybe 1 every 22 houses perhaps at the moment with the thing, but I'm not going to figure that out because I'd much rather build it on the base, the flat numbers, and then any bonuses they get are a literal bonus to us. We've got to remember that consumption time is less than the duration time, the happiness duration. So we're building this at the minimum required. So the 80 seconds is the minimum required to get there. So any more you produce will get consumed and it will add to your coin bonus. So that's why I'm always aiming for the minimum number and overbuild above the minimum required to keep happiness going. I'm getting a little technical on this one. I've realised I'm getting a little bit technical on this one, and some people may appreciate that, some people may not. You can always just brute force things. You can always just say, hey, I built a kitchen, it's not keeping up with happiness, let's build another one, and just do it that way. But figuring the numbers out can help you understand what you need to build and where. Like looking at that going, right, so if I need 1 every 20 houses, and I know full well that we're going to get to like 100 houses easily in that town, 120 houses easily in that town. I know level 10 town centre requires 120 houses at level 10. Sorry, it requires... Yeah, was it 120 houses at level 10? I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was something like that. So you need that many houses. I don't think it was 120 houses. No. Whatever. But I know I know full well you get to 120 houses easily across the game. You get way more than that. You get way more than 120 houses. But my brain's going 120 because that's a number I remember specifically somewhere. That might be levels. That might be that you need. No, because 120 houses would be 1,000 levels. That's not right. I can't remember. I've got this number stuck in my head, and I don't know where I got the number from. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Who knows? But we need to make sure we have a space. That's what I'm trying to say here. To expand. The kitchen needs to be able to expand, and we don't have the space to do that here. It's kind of awkward, but it's also not so bad because I'm looking at this and you look at it and think, oh, it goes uphill here, it goes down here, it goes blah blah blah. But if you look at it from the top down. Just look at it straight top down. There's only a few small areas we can't build. And we can even build on there with platforms anyway. You know, because Omnipipes will connect to the top of this mountain and the bottom of this river, regardless of what's going on at the bottom of this valley, regardless of where they are. I also really like the way that roof does the weird, you know, I don't know if the video is going to pick that up or not, but I like the lines on the roof. That's very mesmerizing. So we could say, hey, this is this size here. This has this huge area here. I kind of want to move it because we don't want the farms there. We might also put another farm in over here, around the edge. The farm's going to get happiness bonuses too, which helps produce things faster for them. But I don't know, these hills are just an absolute pain. Not so bad if we're not planting crops though, so we're okay. We also have noticed that this has run out of mine, which is going to make life a little bit difficult. We don't have deep mining yet. So what I mean by that is that because we're using Omnipipes and we're doing things underground, we don't have to worry so much about spacing things out that much. Because buildings can be right next door to each other, and then this food mill can feed to this kitchen nice and fine, no problem at all. So if we just duplicated this here and put that there, boom, there you go. So you're going to make flour, you're going to do bread, okay, and we want to choose what we're going to sell as well. I don't think I was going to sell bread, was I? I don't think so. I've chosen bread as the number, but I wasn't going to do that. We can sell bread to start with, it's fine. But the basic food only has a maximum of 6 happiness. You can sell more and get the coins, but you won't get any more than 6 happiness from this one category in this one house. So looking at it, if we did cooked fish, cooked chicken, and cooked beef, like I said last time, there is the 6 bonuses. You get 2 from the fish, 2 from the chicken, 2 from the beef. There's your 6 bonuses. So that makes sense. It also would allow you to cut down on the amount of Omnipipes. If you tried to sell every one of these, you could sell every one of these goods in there. It's perfectly viable to do that. But you'd have to run a lot of pipes to here. A lot of pipes to here. The food market. Because the food market deals with basic food. So yeah, you'd have to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 26. You'd have to run 26 pipes to run all them. Which is not actually doable, because you only have 9 pipes underground you can access. 8 really, because you can't cross, and then you've got to come above ground and connect things to it. Which you can do, but that would be a mess. That would be an utter mess of pipes and things, so if we did this instead, if we just went, hey, we're gonna do it this way, and then I can come underground here to our Omnipipe layer, and I can just go, hey, would you split the coal to there, and would you split that to there, that to there, and then would you be so kind as to turn that pipe off there, and then this is supposed to be an output like this, okay. And now what will happen here is instead of the flour selling, moving on and being sold, we're going to stop selling flour, and we're going to instead produce twice the amount of bread and sell the bread, which will drop our happiness from the flour but then raise it from the bread. That makes sense. Bread is also worth more coins, so it makes sense to sell the coins rather than the flour here, and just will back up. Hopefully this will start backing up eventually. It doesn't look as if it is. It may be that this is just not producing, we're not producing enough grain. Oh, the grain's moving on as well. We need to stop that. We need to stop the grain moving on. We don't want to sell the grain, we want the grain to go that way. I could split this. I should split this. That would make sense. And we need to look at the ratios here. So this produces, this requires 2 bread, 2 flour every 4 seconds. 4 work units. And I'm just going to say a work unit is 1 second, and we ignore all the bonuses stuff that were just the flat numbers. It's 4 seconds. It's just easy that way. 2 every 4 seconds. You produce 1 every 4 seconds. So you need to have your work bonus production speed at +2. So if we lower the people down here, boom, we go back to 1 here, so boom, that's 1.4, which is fine, but we want to get it to 2. It's actually 1 because ignoring the happiness bonus, it's 1. We want to get it to 2. So we could either add 2 workers, that makes it 2. The 3.2 is because worker is 0.4, but that's fine because of how this works here. So we could say we could do that and then do the same here. Add 3 workers into there, boom, and that will be the same, and that will make enough flour to keep both of these going. Or we could add coin boosters. Coin boosters add 1 a second. I prefer coin boosters early on. I feel like they're better because workers kind of are, we're good for workers right now, but workers do become a premium later on when you start looking at, well, hey, we're going to have 2 kitchens now, so we need to have 2 of this building and 2 of that building, and you're doubling up everything, and because you're doubling up as well, we've actually gone from having like 1 worker in the kitchen and 1 in the food mill, or whatever in the food mill, to having 2 of them. So that's double the workers. And then we might need another farm, which will be another 10 workers, and it very easily fills up quickly. So I generally prefer to have the coin boosters on there. Plus you can balance things a bit better. Coin boosters don't get affected by worker happiness. So a single coin boost will give you +1. It won't give you +1.4. I think for now, we got workers, we're good. We're going to go with this route. We're going to go with, we'll add 2 workers to it because a worker is worth, 3 workers is worth 2. And then we're getting the bonuses of 0.4 per worker added onto it. So yeah, that's good. Now, let's look at some other things here. So we are struggling to get grain to come down here. The grain is struggling. I don't know why the grain is struggling. You're full. You're just not getting the grain. How are we doing up here? Well, you are running at absolutely full whack flat. Can't run any faster speed. I think your inventory is full. Because an Omnipipe can only deal with so many outputs. So yeah, it's just gonna run out. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna put in a second pipe. And we're gonna connect it to there. And then we're going to remove that there, and we'll remove that there, and this one we'll reconnect. Oh, cool. There you go. So now the farm will output from here, and they do a round robin. They do this one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that. So it will evenly take goods out of the farm between the different connections that are in there. So each one of our mills will get the equal amount of grain until one backs up, and then obviously it will back up and feed there. So is this going to keep up? Let's have a look see here. So what do we need? What do we need for following the production chain down? We need, so we're running at 2 right now. Ignoring the happy balance, we're running at 2. So we need 3 grain every 4 work units. Running at twice the speed, we need 3 grain every 2 work units. 2 seconds. 3 grain every 2 seconds. Double up. We need 6 grain every 2 seconds. 3 grain a second is required. 3 grain per second. You produce 1 grain every 2 seconds. And then you're running at 10 speed, which is ridiculous. So 1 grain every 2 seconds. So if I slow this down to here, this is 1 grain every 2 seconds. That's 1 grain a second. That's 2 grains a second. That's 3 grain a second. So it's 6 people, 6 workers, and workers are good to add to farms. Workers in farms, mines, fisheries, and another one. I can't remember one. Foresters. They get plus. They are worth 1 work unit each, so it's worth putting in there. The same as yellow coins, so it's worth doing workers. So at 6 a second, that means you are producing 3 grain per second, which is exactly what we need, and the ratio is all balanced and add together. Now we are actually consuming more than that because we've got the happiness bonus. So let's add the happiness bonus to our farm because we can do that. Let's flatten out some terrain here. Let's run this down to here. I'm going to run it to here, and we'll run it straight down, boom, boom, like that. There we go. Now you will notice the farm is not getting the happiness bonus. No, it is not. And that is because, I don't know whether it's going to do it here, but yeah, if I click on this here, the influence is just too short. It's like 1 too short. The farm's influence, the farm's range that it can chop down stuff is just it's slightly too big. Foresters are actually larger as well. Foresters have got a bigger range of the farm, so you have to go in by 2. So what you need to do is just remove a single crop from the outside, run the line in, boom, and then you should be connected. See there, boom, you are connected to the town centre. See the town centre glowing? And if we go to here, you're now running at 8.4. So because every building in that production chain, the farm, the 2 mills, and the 2 kitchens are all connected to the same town centre, they're all getting the same happiness bonus, you can ignore the happiness bonus and just run on the standard ratios. This requires 2 flour every 4 seconds. This is producing 2 flour every 4 seconds. Requires 3 grain every 4 seconds, or requires 6 grain, sorry, every 4 seconds. And this is producing 12 grain every 4 seconds because we're doubling it up. Does look as if we're kind of struggling for grain a little bit. I might have got my numbers mixed up here somewhere. Or it may just be that this is now catching up. Are you catching up? Are you struggling? I think we're just slightly struggling for grain. Seems like the grain disappears every just now and then. It's not quite enough. Only stopping for the very briefest of seconds though. So I think the ratio is correct. It might be something to do with there's a small delay between grabbing and dropping off in here, which is causing like a 1/4 of a second or 0.1 of a second delay or something. But we can probably counter that by just adding another worker here. If you see a delay there. I'm guessing it's the distance travelled. It's just causing a slight delay in when it picks the goods up and drops the goods back in here again. So just by adding 1 extra worker to it, you'll see this starts filling up. This is up to 10, 11 corn. This is... yeah, it's not flickering now, saying it's struggling at all to do anything. There we go. Our happiness has dropped, so our happiness bonus has dropped. So if you'd have figured it all out with the happiness bonus, you'd now have to recalculate it all because your happiness changed. If you don't, if you figure it out just with the flat numbers and then make sure every building is connected to the same source of happiness or to a source of happiness because happiness is global, then the happiness bonus will just be literally that, a bonus on top of the base numbers. Hopefully that makes sense. I've probably confused a lot of people doing this. Do apologise if I'm going off on some weird rant things and you're just thinking, why, what are you doing here? But the ratios are important. They do matter because obviously if you're not producing enough grain for the mills to make the flour, you're not going to be able to have bread to sell to your goods. So you need to figure out the numbers. That's the point of playing a production line game. Our happiness has also dropped because we're no longer selling any stone because we run out of stone here. But we'll deal with stone next time because I can explain deep mining and things like that. So we shall leave this one here and we shall come back next time and carry on from there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this one and I hope to see you again in the next one. And until then, as always, have fun.